In the heart of New York City, Ethan Cole had built an empire that stretched from towering office buildings to global business ventures. At 40, he was one of the most powerful CEOs in America, respected for his brilliance, but feared for his cold, detached demeanor. People around him moved carefully, offering only the words he wanted to hear. His penthouse, perched high above Manhattan, was a symbol of wealth and authority. Yet inside its glass walls, Ethan often felt a loneliness he could not explain. His staff maintained distance, treating him with stiff formality, except for one person who intrigued him quietly, Lila, the maid. Lila was different. At 35, she was soft-spoken and almost invisible, moving through the penthouse with grace and humility. She never tried to draw his attention or flatter him like others. Ethan noticed her quiet care in the little details, how she polished his desk until it gleamed, how she adjusted the curtains to shield him from the afternoon glare, and how she left spaces more comfortable than before. Something about her silence carried depth. One evening, restless and curious, Ethan decided to test her true nature. Reclining on his leather couch, he closed his eyes and pretended to sleep, waiting to see what she would do when she thought he wasn't watching. The room was quiet, except for the soft rhythm of Lila's movements as she worked. Ethan, though feigning sleep, remained alert beneath his closed eyelids. He listened to the faint shuffle of her shoes against the polished floor, the gentle clink of glass as she straightened the table, and the delicate rustle of fabric as she adjusted the cushions near his chair. Everything she did was precise, careful, as though she feared disturbing the calm. After a while, she paused. Ethan could feel her presence lingering close to him. Slowly, almost hesitantly, she reached for the throw blanket draped over the armrest. With quiet hands, she unfolded it and laid it across his shoulders. The warmth surprised him, not from the fabric, but from the tenderness behind the gesture. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the edges, as though unsure whether she had crossed a line. Then she whispered words so faint they nearly disappeared into the air. "You work so hard. I just wish you'd take care of yourself." Ethan's chest tightened. It had been years since anyone spoke to him with such honesty and care. He remained still, fighting the urge to open his eyes, desperate to hear what she might do next. Lila stepped back after placing the blanket. Her hands clasped tightly, as though she had done something forbidden. For a moment, she simply stood there, looking at him with an expression Ethan wished he could see without pretense. Her silence filled the room, yet it carried more weight than any words he had heard in boardrooms or from colleagues. After a pause, she let out a soft breath, and in a voice trembling with gentleness, she murmured, "Oh, you don't have to carry everything alone." The words pierced through Ethan's chest, cutting through the armor he had built over the years. Still, he stayed motionless, unwilling to break the fragile moment. Lila quietly moved toward the side table, lifting the half-empty glass of water he had abandoned earlier. She replaced it with a fresh one from the pitcher, then reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small, sticky note. Carefully, she wrote a message in neat handwriting. "Please drink this when you wake up." She placed it beside the glass, her movements tender, almost protective. Ethan's throat tightened. Surrounded by wealth and power all his life, he realized no expensive gift had ever carried such unspoken kindness as this simple gesture. When the door finally clicked shut behind Lila, Ethan opened his eyes. The penthouse was silent, but everything she had done remained. The blanket warming his shoulders, the fresh glass of water glistening with condensation, and the little note resting beside it. He reached for the paper with unsteady hands, staring at the words she had written. They were simple, yet they struck him harder than any speech or promise ever had. For a man who had spent years surrounded by contracts, negotiations, and people who measured his worth in dollars, this small act of thoughtfulness felt overwhelming. His chest grew heavy, and before he could stop himself, tears blurred his vision. He pressed the note against his palm, as if holding on to it could somehow hold on to the sincerity behind it. It wasn't just the blanket or the water that undid him. It was the fact that she cared without reason, without seeking recognition. She had seen the man beneath the title, the human beneath the empire, and responded with kindness. Ethan realized then how rare such purity was in his world. For the first time in decades, the billionaire felt vulnerable, yet deeply grateful to be seen.